Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be enjoying a thriller war film, entitled Burial. There will be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. The movie begins in London in 1991 when Anna Marshall is watching the news on her television. The news is announcing the resignation of the Russian president, Mikhail S. Gorbachev, which ends 7 decades of Soviet Union rule. Her dog, Gulliver, scratches the door, wanting to go out, so Anna opens the door for him to let him out. When the dog comes back in, she unknowingly leaves the door unlocked. Soon, a man wearing a wolf mask breaks into her home, looking for Anna, but she's prepared. She tasers him out and ties him up in her bedroom. She sees the numbers tattooed on his left forearm, and he wakes up and demands she let him go. She scolds him about his tattoo and the numbers it references. To the uninformed eye, it looks like a concentration camp number, but she understands what the numbers reference. It means Heil Hitler, meaning he's a neo-Nazi. She brings out his ID from his wallet, revealing his name as Carl Edwards. She moves to call the police on the telephone, but he calls out her real name, Brana Vasilieva Brodskaya, a Soviet translator. He says he knows what she found in Berlin. This stops her in her tracks, which confirms his theory. He demands to know the truth behind the mission that she had undertaken just before World War II ended. He theorizes that she and her fellow soldiers found Hitler's evidence of his escape. Anna laughs at his theory and shows him a locket. She blows a secret powder in his face, paralyzing him as she narrates the events that unfolded. A flashback begins in Berlin in 1945 when the city had just fallen. Anna was a Russian officer who went by the name Brana Vasilieva. She's part of a small troop of Russian soldiers on a secret mission to deliver a crate to Stalin in Moscow. The colonel tells her that their earlier plan of transferring it by aircraft is no longer an option. They must carry the crate along the road while Captain Ilyasov and his men will escort them to Poznan. They will rendezvous with Pikivsky and board a train to Moscow, and he reminds them that Stalin gave them those orders. They set out in a military truck with a coffin in the back. They have to bury the crate every night whenever they stop for rest. That night, when Brana is sleeping, she jolts awake from her nightmares. She has been having nightmares since Berlin. She sits by the fire with Mikhail Ivanovich, who asks her why they must bury it every night. She says it is so that they won't find the crate when enemies kill them in their sleep. She asks why everyone calls him Tor, and he replies that he killed a soldier in Stalingrad with a hammer. The next day, they dig up the coffin and continue their drive. As they're nearing the outskirts of Poznan, they get ambushed by a sniper, and the driver, the comrade colonel, is killed. They take cover beside the truck while one of the men goes to the woods to kill the shooter. They inspect the Nazi sniper's corpse and see a werewolf insignia on his gun. So, Captain Ilyasov orders his men to bury the colonel's body, and they should make camp, but Brana argues not to. She insists that they can make it to Poznan and that staying could make them vulnerable to more of the werewolf Nazis. Captain Ilyasov is now in charge of the mission and insists they should stay there to rest. Later, Captain Ilyasov takes some of his men to find supplies in the nearby village, but Brana tries to stop them, saying it isn't wise to split up, but they still do. After a while, Brana follows them, reminding Tor to guard the crate. Captain Ilyasov and his men soon arrive at the village, where they find a tavern. A woman greets them by the door but tells them that the tavern is closed, but Ilyasov orders her to open it for them. Soon, Brana arrives at the village. When she approaches the tavern, she hears screaming at a nearby barn. She finds Ilyasov assaulting the woman from the tavern. She stops him and scolds him for his actions. Ilyasov slaps her, knocking her down, and tries to assault her in revenge. She headbutts him, breaking his nose, and then they both notice a man pointing a gun toward them. Brana quickly grabs her gun, points it at the man, and questions if he's German, but he says he lives near there and hears the screaming. They all hear a noise in the tavern, so they investigate and see the smoke. Soon enough, they discover Ilyasov's men are dead. Luckily, one of them survived, so Ilyasov rushes to him and asks what happened. The soldier says that it was smoke, it's poisonous, but he doesn't know who did it. Lucas says it must be the werewolf Nazis. He picks up the smoke bomb and throws it away. He says the werewolf Nazis use herbs for smoke bombs to make the people hallucinate and hide in the woods surrounding the village, waiting for Russians. Ilyasov blames the man for leading the Nazis there, but Brana rebukes him, saying that he and his men must lead them to the village. Back in the forest, there's a thick smoke surrounding the camp. Tor hears a noise nearby and alerts Iosif. So he investigates where the noise came from while Iosif tries to wake up Grigory. Iosif hears growling and sees an oversized, menacing silhouette not far from him, so he runs away from the camp, scared. Meanwhile, Tor sees a figure of a man behind a tree. He calls out to him, and the man approaches him. He turns as he hears something behind him, but as he turns around to face the man again, he's nowhere to be found, confusing Tor. Back at the camp, Grigory finally wakes up, coughing from the smoke. He sees an older man in the distance, but as he rubs his eyes to see correctly, the man is gone. He turns around, sees something, and approaches it. Unexpectedly, someone behind him places a garrote on him and kills him. Meanwhile, Tor sees someone wearing a gas mask and approaches them, thinking it's another hallucination. The person in the gas mask grabs Tor's weapon from him and shoots at him, but Tor is quick to flee. He hides in a tree hollow, checks his surroundings, and sees a corpse beside him, staring at him. So, he closes his eyes in fear, believing it's another hallucination. Back at the camp, Iosif sees a werewolf, and he approaches it, pointing his gun at it. The werewolf faces him with its teeth bared, making Iosif stumble and crawl back in fear. Then, someone shoots it dead. It was Lucas and the others. Branna helps Iosif, telling him it's the smoke making him see things and showing him that what he thought was a werewolf is just a soldier who's now dead. Branna asks where Tor and Grigory are, while Ilyasov tells her the truck is gone, and they also find Grigory's dead body. So, she decides to bring the crate out and go on foot to Poznan, but Ilyasov wants them to stand and fight against the werewolf Nazis. She argues that they shouldn't fight as it's against their orders. Their order is to bring the crate to Stallin without any fighting or noise. She realizes they can't carry it all the way, so she suggests they should find somewhere to stash it and hide. But it can't be the village, as they will be too exposed there. Lucas suggests somewhere safe, so Branna agrees to go there. After a while, the werewolf Nazis arrive at the empty camp and see the dug-up pit. Wolfram Graber orders the werewolf Nazis to find the crate and kill the Russians. On the other hand, the tavern girl is on the run when Tor confronts her. He asks if she's from the village and has seen any of his comrades. He asks her to lead him there to find his comrades, and she does. Tor follows her and questions her about her reason for being in the woods. She tells him to run away from people like him, Bolsheviks, and Russian communists. Tor decides to let her go, saying he'll find his way. She directs the village, but the werewolf Nazis arrive on the spot, killing the girl, and they take Ilyasov captive. Meanwhile, Lucas leads Branna and the others to seek refuge in an elderly couple's house nearby. The couple is hesitant about sheltering the Russians as they need to know what the crate contains. Eventually, Branna opens the crate to convince the couple they need their help. Inside, it reveals Hitler's corpse. She tells them that Hitler shot himself in his bunker in Berlin, and they need to show it to Stalin himself. The next day, they hide the corpse in a small shed. Branna stresses that Stalin wants to look at the dead Hitler with his own eyes. Lucas also opens up about his real identity. He used to be a Nazi soldier who deserted. As soon as he found out, his wife was put into a labor camp and died there. He's hiding from the Soviets because they will kill him as soon as they find his real identity. The villagers say he's a traitor for becoming a Nazi soldier. So, he's hiding from both sides, the Germans and the Polish. Meanwhile, the werewolf Nazis take Tor to Graber and torture him for information on the location of Hitler's corpse. But before they can get any information from him, a Nazi informant declares that they found the Russian troop. The Nazis arrive near the house, trying to bargain for Hitler's corpse for the life of Tor. The Russians seal the house of the elderly couple, preparing themselves to fight the Nazis. Graber stabs Tor's back with a knife, trying to convince the Russians to give up. Tor uses this as a distraction to run while Branna shoots at Graber. Shooting ensues between both parties as the Nazis surround the house. Ilyasov surrenders himself to the Nazis, and in exchange for information, he tells them the location of the body. Tor throws a grenade at Graber's location, but it only kills Ilyasov. The shooting continues, the werewolf Nazis approach the house, and Makar gets killed. Tor manages to get in safely, and the Nazis are trying to burn them out of the house. They get out of the house and lose Hitler's corpse to the Nazis on the truck. Branna goes after the Nazis on foot. Tor tries to convince her that it's over, but she doesn't stop. She shoots at the truck, but it soon loses its trail. Tor catches up to her and tells her they went to a church, as Tor overheard Graber earlier. The Russians attack the church where the Nazis have hidden and are trying to record video evidence claiming that Hitler isn't dead. The Russians throw in the smoke grenades made out of herbs, just like the werewolf Nazis did, making some of them hallucinate. Iosif, Tor, Branna, and Lucas get severely injured, but Lucas manages to start a fire. Graber shoots Tor with a machine gun and approaches the injured Iosif and Branna. Iosif manages to save Branna by pushing her out the window, but he immediately gets killed by Graber. Tor grabs Hitler's corpse and puts it and himself in a cellar while the church burns. Graber tries to open the cellar door but soon fails, he dies in the fire, and the church gets burned to the ground. After the fire, all that was left were fragments and bones. Branna soon finds a skull with a bullet wound to the head. Lucas and Branna were the only ones to survive, and Stalin forgot the mission. In 1991, Anna said that Branna Brodskaya got imprisoned for 6 years and claims she died in a Siberian gulag. She poisons the captive neo-Nazi, angry at him for having killed Lucas in a similar break-in a few days ago. The movie ends with Anna showing the dying man a small token that Lucas sent her a while back. The contents of the box are left unknown but hinted that it's the skull of Hitler that she found at the burned church. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos like this, and help the channel grow.